Hi, welcome to Building Pathways to Healthy Minds. I'm your host, Priscilla Bagley, and I had the best time doing this next interview. I sat down with Tamra Wilkerson, who is a board member for Child Builders, a wonderful person, and expectant mother. And so we got to sit down and talk about dreams and hopes and the challenges of motherhood, what she's expecting, and what she is hopeful for her baby boy. We're going to hopefully keep in contact and have updates and have Tamara back on periodically because we thought it would be fun to keep track of how motherhood is actually going. What is the expectations and hopes, and how did they come true? What was different? So we hope that you have a great day listening. Grab some coffee, grab a friend, or go on a walk or hike and just enjoy listening to Tamara and I chat about dreams for our kids.
Baby boy is due June 7th, although we're starting to think it might be a little bit earlier, just depending on, various factors. So could be
He's
soon.
getting he's getting ready.
He's getting ready. He's moving around a lot today.
Um,
So it's good.
How have you been feeling?
Feeling good. I've told everybody I don't think pregnancy is my favorite, but I really don't have anything to complain about. Um, I've been able to be very active the whole pregnancy, which is something that's important to me and helps me with my mental health, and it makes me feel like me. So it's been really nice to be able to keep up a lot of those routines. And I know not everyone's fortunate to be able to do that.
Where it's almost like put your life on hold when you're pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt like I wasn't, I mean, you don't know how it's going to be. So I had aspirations to kind of keep up my activity level. I'm one of those people who works out first thing in the morning. So even when I'm traveling for work, I love to wake up at the hotel, get a workout in. It's like one thing I can control about my day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe wanting control speaks a little bit to my personality, but it's useful just to like have that time to myself. So it's been nice to be able to continue that really.
I guess that's a great segue into some of the questions I was going to ask, which
Lack
is,
of control.
yes, how are you feeling about, like, have you thought through that, and have you started kind of mentally preparing for changes? How are you
Yeah.
feeling?
Yeah, I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast yesterday when I was walking, and the guest she was interviewing was talking about when you feel like you don't have control or like there's chaos, that certain personality types like to make lists or like to clean something first. And that really resonated with me because I was always one of those people who like had to clean their dorm room before they studied for an exam.
Me
Like I
too.
wanted,
I had to make the bed
uh-huh,
before I can, yes, it needs to look orderly for my mind to
100%.
work.
And
Yep.
apparently that's like a coping mechanism. And so it's funny, I was thinking about it kind of in the context of being pregnant and the baby and trying to organize what I can, which has probably mostly been the nursery and wanting things in a certain way. Really in preparation for not being able to control. And I think that's what I'm going to struggle with. Like all my friends have told me that I'll have to let go and that best laid plans aren't
Don't
always what you
always.
want. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think that for me too was really a big part of it because I was very structured and I knew what to expect. And I was a little bit of an older mom. I was 35. And so I kind of had my life, you know,
yeah.
in order, I
Uh-huh.
guess. And so I think just working at Child Builders helped me so much because I was learning all about like being mindful and taking in the moments because I am very much, I can do all the outward stuff and forget about this little person who's in front of me, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine it changes your focus,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is exciting. And especially, yeah, being an older mom, I'm 40. I read a statistic today that said San Francisco has the oldest average age for first time moms, but it was only 32. I was like, that doesn't
That doesn't seem
doesn't
very
seem
old.
that old.
No.
Um, but yeah, thinking about like maybe it's hopefully it'll be nice to have kind of a different shift in priorities. And one of my managers at work was talking about that his happiness now is how happy his least happy kid is. He has 5 kids. And he's like, it's just nice to have, yeah, a different focus, a different priority, that it's not you and work and whatever else is going on.
Yeah, I think there's like two sides to that too. It's like being older, I felt like I knew a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm so grateful for. Like I would have been a totally different mom in my 20s. And I'm so grateful, honestly, for child builders skills that I had kind of picked up in my 30s, just safety things and empathy and mindfulness. And because I think it always just felt like, okay, you get married and then you have kids. And I don't know that I would have enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But being older, in some ways, you're a lot more set in in your ways that you do things, you know? And so it
100%.
was but it was like a beautiful shift and being like, I kind of did this other stuff in my life, and now I can breathe and just be with my baby, you know, and still work, but be a mom and have this other aspect to life.
My husband and I talked about that getting married later. I was 37 and just, yeah, you're your own like fully formed adult
Mm-hmm.
person, and you have been for quite a while.
So what are you kind of most excited about?
Oh my gosh. To not be pregnant anymore. Everyone says you get to that point where you're like, oh, I'm just ready for it to be over with. So I'm
I
starting to
feel
feel
you.
that way. I'm really looking forward to being able to read and like interact with like crafts and things. Maybe this sounds really specific, but it the way I grew up, I had my mom was fortunate enough to stay home, and so I have lots of memories of going to the library even as a very young kid, and story time and reading books. And I love to read. I love to do little crafts and be hands-on and really interact. My niece is 3.5, and so I love doing those things with her. So I'm really excited to get to share um, some of the good memories I have from my childhood
Mhm.
with the baby.
Are you just so excited for like the day to come to be like, what is this baby going to be like?
I think so. We keep seeing on the ultrasound that he has hair, and so we're so curious. I was a very bald baby. My husband's a redhead. So we're like, is it gonna be a redhead or blonde? We'd be more shocked if it's a brunette, but we're very, very curious.
I remember that too, going like, what? I can't even imagine what this baby's going to look like. That's wild.
Yeah, it's funny because you see so much now on the ultrasound, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, all babies kind of look like
Yeah,
the like picture on that, they kind of look alike. I don't
you still
know.
can't really tell. But then the
No.
weird thing for me was I have her ultrasound pictures in a book that I saved.
Hmm.
And I look back now and I'm like, I see her in that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's weird. And I don't know if that's just me projecting that or like, because I remember seeing those ultrasound pictures and you're like, these are beautiful. And I still have no idea what to expect. Like,
Mhm.
okay, it's a baby, it's a head and a
Right.
nose and some arms.
Like
And
it
then
looks
you
kind of
look,
scary to some extent.
it is. But then
Ugh.
I look back and I'm like, oh, I totally see her little nose. It's her
Aw.
nose. It's wild. They are just,
Okay, I'm excited for that.
it's wild and crazy. It's a crazy ride. So, what are you like most nervous about
Lack
besides
of
the
sleep.
losing control? Yeah, sleep. Yes.
I am one of those people who loves 8 hours of sleep. Uninterrupted. That's probably been like one of the harder parts of pregnancy for me, is waking up like 3 times a night, because I'm a good sleeper. So I'm very nervous at how that will test my patience, and therefore really my communication skills with my husband. I think we're both nervous about that for each other. And just knowing that that will be hard. And even if we were perfectly well rested, it's a lot of learning and new stuff that might make communication hard. And so then to add like lack of sleep and lack of patience on top of it feels intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I feel like all your answers, I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I love sleep. Like getting less than 8 hours makes me scared. Like I used to count when I was younger, like, okay, if I go to sleep now, I can still get 8 hours. Okay, I can
Yeah,
like,
like I can tell if I've had 7 hours of sleep. I'm like, ooh, that was not a
yep,
good,
just not
like,
enough.
nope.
And things do change for sure. And you're right. It's like, could there be anything that changes us that much all at once? Give yourself lots of grace to be like, maybe I can rest a little bit more, or maybe I sleep in this morning a long time,
It's a good reminder because I do think having grace with yourself is something I'll need to remember. I can be very type A and hard on myself. And even at this point in pregnancy, trying to balance wanting an active lifestyle and needing some rest and different things like that. And not feeling guilty, like feeling like I'm not doing something on my to-do list. And I can imagine that will be something I'll really have to think about and manage.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you're used to like, checking it all off and a baby just doesn't always fit into that
Mm-hmm.
to-do list. I definitely had to learn that too, to be like, it's okay if things are messy, or it's okay if I don't get stuff done on time. It'll be okay, you know.
I feel like I need to write that down somewhere so I can
Just make
see it and
sticky
be
notes,
reminded.
sticky
Yes,
notes.
exactly.
Well, a couple weeks ago, I actually did a podcast with Anne Friedman on mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she did, like at the beginning of her mindfulness journey, she would have sticky notes all over just to remind her,
Mm,
like, breathe, you know, um, count, or what are you feeling right now? How's your body feeling? And
mm-hmm.
so maybe that's a good reminder to stick stuff here and there and just be like, it's okay to not be perfect. And I'm going to give myself grace. And
I should. Those reminders I think are helpful. I mean, I'm looking at my work monitor and I have like little sticky notes, not about stuff to do, but I literally have one about how I want to treat my team, like build consensus, listen to others. And so I obviously like having some sort of physical reminder.
I love that. That's good for me I never thought about that, for putting like work reminders, like treat people this way today, or like breathe, or, what are you grateful for today? That kind of thing.
Yeah, because
Love
I think sometimes when your mind gets going, at least for me, then I'm not as like grounded in that
that.
as I
Mhm.
would like to be. Mindfulness does not come easy to me at all. I was always one of those people who uses the end of yoga when you're supposed to meditate to like make a shopping list for the day or something instead. I was like, oh, this
Totally.
is perfect. 5 minutes to think about what I need to do.
That's great.
Room for improvement.
No, and see, and I think that's like, babies are just gonna come and kind of disrupt that a little bit, and I think that's really what I learned, was that it's okay to just breathe and not do all the things, because I'm a doer.
Same. Yes. I love a list. I love to get things done, feel accomplished.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fix all the things, make sure everything's in its place, and they just kind of force you. And I heard this something, I don't know if it was a quote or was like a meme, but it was like this mom, and the child was like lagging behind, and the mom was like, come on, come on, come on, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. And the child was like, he was like looking at a butterfly or something.
Mm,
And it said, like, what if all the stopping that our kids make us do is really like the most important part? And so I have to remember that.
I like that. I mean, it makes me think about why people like certain experiences as an adult to see them through a child's eyes, like whether it's the holidays or going to Disney. I know we were talking about Disney things at
Yes.
the crawfish boil, but to like see it through a kid's perspective. So it's kind of fun to think about even something as simple as what you're observing on a walk or
Yeah.
outdoors.
Like, why are they being slow? It's that, like, why.
Yeah.
And I also just talked to an author who wrote this book called Raising Awe Seekers, exactly what you're
Mm,
talking about. And one of the things she said as parents is we should practice radical curiosity with our kids. And just so, yeah, it's like
I'm
that
writing
that
this down.
that image of what is my child looking at? Why are they taking their time? What is going on? And instead of just being like, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go, like being curious.
Well, and it's making me think, like, in brainstorming for today, I was kind of thinking about some of the values I hope to instill. And one of them, it's not really a value, but a phrase I wrote down was like exposure to diverse backgrounds and experiences. And so kind of recognizing with that, that there'd be a lot of curiosity, and how do you foster a sense of curiosity and kind of open-mindedness and an ability to ask questions and want to learn, and then to take that learning and develop yourself into a kind of a considerate person who's
Mhm.
aware of others and differences, and just that there's many different avenues to go through life, whether it's different birds or whatever the case may be. And knowing that curiosity is a part of that.
When I think just you saying that that's a value of yours, it's amazing just us as parents, the things we value and model are the biggest, you know, predictor of whether that's going to be important to our kids. And it's wild to me to think that so much of what they see and want to be is because of us. So I think if you're, and it sounds like you're already this type of person, but if you continue with your exploration and your values, the baby's gonna totally love all that stuff. And just exposing him to all that will be
Well,
huge.
some of the parenting books I've read talk about this idea that even infants, even newborns, absorb more than we realize, and to talk to them like a person. You don't need to baby talk or talk down to them, but to know that they're absorbing your world, they're coming into your world. And so I really like that, thinking about how do I bring a child, a newborn, into my world, and model the type of behaviors, even if I think they're too young to understand, but model the type of behaviors and values that I think are important.
I love that. Yeah, I think we talked to the crawfish boil about those first weeks of being home with baby. And
Mm-hmm.
just you saying that reminded me that Chris, my husband, would do the skin to skin, which I was making him do, even though he felt weird about it. But he would hold her and he would read our books, like the books we love.
Yeah,
So there's like a picture of him and he's reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is also kid, it's sweet and
yeah, but
kid friendly, but like it was just sweet, those moments of like bringing her into something that we enjoy and we love before she even, I mean, she was sleeping half the time, but even now looking back on that, one, it's sweet to look at that with her and go, look, we were reading this book when you were 2 days old.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, and he was really good about that, about still taking the time to like read to her when she was not paying attention at all, right? Like a couple months old, they're still taking it in, and it's still just creating those routines.
I've heard
And
that as a suggestion, if you're reading a book, to read your own book out loud. Like, don't worry that it's
yes,
not a child's book, it's just your voice and learning and
and like
absorbing.
inflection, your voice
Yeah,
inflections and things like that. That's you get to do both things at the same time because I love reading. So it's like that
same.
the thing that you love, you're sharing it with your baby already, and those are precious moments.
Yeah, I'm
Have you
excited for that.
have you started writing down like your hopes, dreams, keeping a journal or anything like that?
A little bit. A friend got me like a, I guess, kind of a baby journal or whatever those books are. I don't even know what the term is, where you kind of catalog things, and it has a
Yes.
lot of journaling prompts and questions. So I've been thinking through some of that. And just really, back to the kind of values that we want to instill. But also thinking about, it's interesting, like, that having a kid, obviously it gives you a different perspective, but it's made me read the news differently. It's made me watch TV differently. Like, I watched that show, Adolescence, on Netflix,
Oh yeah, I
and
saw that was on there. I haven't
and
watched it.
thinking about social media with teens. And I'd listened to a parenting podcast that talked about it, and thinking about how, even though it's in the future, how would that impact what we do at home. Or I read an article, the New York Times is doing a series on raising boys today. And so read an article just today and talking about the educational system isn't maybe as boy friendly. And so thinking about all these things, especially have knowing I'll have a boy.
Mhm.
I was raised with sisters, so I'm so used to thinking of things in a like girl first, women first, different organizations that support women. And then to
Yeah.
think about, okay, but having a son, how how are things set up? How is society set up in a way that would help or hinder him to succeed? And what sort of advocate should I be for him, and how should I raise him in the current climate? I don't know if and then sometimes it just feels like way too much to think about, and feels very overwhelming. But
That is a lot. And I was going to say, just from you already talking about what your values are, I found for me, it was really important to keep track of that because the day to day can get so mundane, right?
mm-hmm.
And it's like all of a sudden we realize, oh my gosh, I've totally lost track of where I wanted this to go because I've been changing diapers and I've been losing sleep. And or even as like our daughter's gotten older, it's like, oh, her day to day stuff is happening. And I forget that these little moments that I have to shape something in her that is a value can sometimes easily slip away, slip through my fingers. And so I've tried more and more to be a little bit more intentional about, again, like the writing it down to remember this is what I want to see. It's like that end goal. And how do I get there? Like, what are those moments I can take her on
I'm
and
thinking
get to?
about the map you have in your background, and it's almost like you want to know the destination, and you
Yes,
might deviate or like stop at different points along the way, but how do you keep that destination in mind?
right. It's really hard. I think for us, we have, even before we had our daughter, we wrote a family mission statement because I just feel things like that keep us grounded in what's important. So we kind of both, and you guys
I
have may
like
have
that.
done something like that, but
No, I like this idea.
we wrote down what are our values? Like if we could say this is what we want, even just as a married couple, right? What do we want our family to look like? So we made one before we had our daughter, and then we did one when she was real little, and then we did one when she could be a little more involved in it. So you can keep changing it too and letting them have some ownership over it.
Yeah.
But it just for me, I think any good organization knows what they want and what their
Mm-hmm.
plan is. And so it's the same for our families. Like what are our core values? What do we hold dear? Like these other things, okay, if it gets done, it gets done. But these are the things we want to hold on to.
It makes me think. I listened to the podcast, was it from last week or so, with Liz, and she was talking about thinking of family as a team, and that a
Yeah.
team would have, yeah, kind of a mission statement or shared values. And yeah, what values do you want to instill, or what's important to you, or talking about routines. And so I know one of the things that was important to my husband that we'll have to put in our mission statement somehow is a connection to nature. And so
Mm,
that's something that's really important to him. And he would say all of his hobbies relate to nature and being outdoors and feeling connected to nature. And I grew up camping with my family. And then probably by the time I got to college, like early adulthood, like wasn't doing those things, was busy. I lived in Los Angeles. But with my husband now, we've gotten back to camping and we hike and do all sorts of things. And it does help you feel grounded. And again, that Mel Robbins podcast from yesterday that I was listening to also talked about that being a good coping mechanism, like green spaces. So when you're
mhm.
feeling kind of dysregulated and overwhelmed, that the outdoors for most people is calming.
It it absolutely, at least for us. And I think for our daughter too, when we do those kinds of things, we see her act differently than if she's just in the house all day or
Mhm.
has technology or, it just gives us all a reset. Well, if you had one thing that you could tell your baby boy, if he listens to this, what would it be?
That's a good question. That he is loved already and has so many people that love him and want the best for him and have hope for the future. I think that's really what I think about with kids is just that your values, like it lives on, it carries on. And that's kind of wild to think about.
That's really beautiful. I love that. Hope and love. That's great. Well, I'm so excited for you. It's going to be such a good couple
Big
weeks.
change.
It's exciting waiting, and then
Yes.
you're gonna see him, and for the first time, that's just such fun times. I love it.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it's feeling more and more real by the day. So,
Just thank you for all you do for Child Builders. I know you're busy, busy,
oh
busy.
gosh, it doesn't feel like enough, but it's nice to contribute in a small way.
Well, we will talk soon, and I'll be thinking of you these next
Thank
weeks
you. Thank you.
and all the good things. It's going to be good. It
I
really
really
will.
appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. We will talk soon.
Okay, have
Thank
a
you for
lovely
this.
day. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Tamra and I, just dreaming and reminiscing about what first time motherhood looks like, feels like. Those were very, very sweet days. So, wherever you are on this path, whether you're a parent or a caregiver or a teacher, we just hope that you are nurturing your children, that you are enjoying them, that you're in the moments, like we talked about with Tamra. Take time today to look for the little things, the beautiful things in life, and enjoy the miracle that is our children. The next couple weeks, we are going to be taking a break. We're going to have one more episode, the end of June, come out, and it's going to be about neurodivergent learners and how we can come alongside that. So please join us for that. That'll be the last week in June. And then we're going to take a break in July and August and come back next school year with an array of guests and topics, which I am so excited about. Please follow us, leave comments, questions. We would love to hear from you. It is a joy getting to talk with people about nurturing children. And I hope today was a lovely experience for you and that you go and that you stand strong, stay safe. And until next time, see you later. Bye bye.